is a player from, I believe, Northern California, so far away from you here. They're in Southern California. But he's one of those players that adapts and persists, and he is just very, very impressive. And I'm very excited to see this matchup, and that's why I drafted him. But also,
against Sailor.
yeah, I don't know how to tell him this, Tyler. That's a really good player there. That's somebody that played our Worlds. He's good.
That is somebody, Pierre-Marc Duret. I think I said that right.
Yes.
Sailor coached me not only on how to play decks, but how to say his name. And we're off to a nice start here with Lady Decisive Dog coming down. Tyler on the Dogs.
Yes, so now Tyler, he is a little bit blind right now. That being said, these players, they're contemporaries, so they probably know a little bit about what may be coming.
They actually are friends.
They're friends.
Talking to
They're
them. Yes, they
pals.
know of each other. Tyler knows exactly what he's in for in this match here. Emerald Sapphire versus the Dogs.
Yeah, and this is something where I don't think at this point Pierre is super excited in the sense that this is a deck where Tyler's about to start running as fast as he can, and Pierre's deck, depending on how he built it, isn't super fast. If you look at his hand right now, you are not looking at any aggro cards in hand. In fact, there are some pretty big ones, so he might not feeling so good, but we have Bobby Zamarewski here, able to filter because Tyler's saying, how fast can I go here?
So cheesy. The Cheese Spray Kid himself. We're going to see what it is that Tyler decides to ink here. Looks like we do have another one-drop lady coming down. You do not want to usually ink your Lilos, Escape Artists, but you know, when you're low on your other inkables, I guess that's what you got to do.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because that Lilo, if she can be in your discard pile, she's coming back. She's an Escape Artist. She's escaping right out of your discard and into the board. And so it's something where one of the things you filter with that Bobby Zamarewski, where you draw and discard a card, is it's great to do with the Lilo. That being said, he was able to discard Under the Sea, which I would argue he's not going to do a lot of stuff with that Under the Sea. So that probably feels pretty good to get rid of against this matchup.
Absolutely. Clarabelle, Tipo going to come down, and this growing sun is going to allow you to put another card into your Inkwell face down and Exerted. Usually you want to see the Sail the Azurite Sea, but you're never too sad to see Tipo also.
Yeah, I mean, you want to, the benefit is a body versus card draw here, and so having a body in a matchup where he is about to go toe-to-toe with what some might call a flock of dogs, a herd of dogs, a stampede of dogs. It's a lot of dogs.
A flock of dogs.
And here is a card that I have been so fascinated. Who is this beautiful lady that just showed up?
Tiana, restaurant owner, a restaurateur.
Welcome.
Her own right.
Welcome back, Tiana, because she was a card that we saw in Amber Steel, but she has made a big comeback with this Dogs deck. She's able to sit there and say, I know you're probably going to challenge me. That's your biggest thing in the early game, is challenging. These board wipes don't happen till later. And now you have that -3 on all your characters when they challenge, unless you pay 3, which Pierre doesn't have a lot of time for that right now.
No, not at all. But that clock is getting a little bit quicker as Cinderella Dreams Come True comes down. At the end of Pierre's turn, he's going to be able to ink an additional card. It could be an uninkable even if he wanted, to draw a new card. Probably one of the most powerful cards to come out of Whispers in the Well.
It is. It's a card where, you know, it's always a powerhouse when you have a card that's as beautiful as it is playable. And this is a card, she's a princess. She's a self-saving princess. So congratulations to her, because you need to have a princess in play. Congratulations, you played Cinderella, which anytime a card activates itself, great time. But there we go.
Ooh, and another Tiana restaurant owner comes down. What this card does is when you try to challenge in, Tyler says, when the Tiana is exerted, you have to pay an additional 3. Otherwise, you're going to shave off 3 strength from any character trying to challenge in, which for a lot of characters in Pierre's deck, it's going to be an issue.
It is, and it's something where, I mean, right now, Tyler is feeling pretty good, because, I mean, one Tiana is a problem, 2 Tianas, a 2-ana, if you will, is going to be even a bigger problem. So now he has to be decisive here, because we've got that John Silver, which will give Reckless, but Tiana has to be exerted. So Tiana could sing in theory. Now, there generally isn't a ton of songs, but there's ways around it, essentially. Reckless isn't the end, but Pierre right now is just trying to stabilize. He wants to get to the end of the game, which Tyler is putting tons of pressure on early.
Yep, and notably, not a lot of singing cards, not a lot of song cards in Tyler's deck, other than maybe Della's Moon Lullaby. The Under the Sea's already been discarded, right? But that wouldn't really do anything other than put the Cinderella and Tipo under, which you don't want to exhaust all of your characters to do so. We'll see how Tyler decides to navigate this. You would love to see the Tramp, I think, the enterprising dog, to come down, give some strength strength to one of the ladies kind of quest out fast. But Tyler is already notably at 7 lore here.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to a point where you say, I'm not so worried about interacting with you. I'm going to take advantage of this time, this breathing room I have. In this case, we get another lady decisive dog on the board. And yeah, at a certain point, you kind of say, this is my time. I'm just going to turn these cards sideways. And there, wow. We said you wouldn't. And Tyler said, I wouldn't.
Watch me.
Amazing. Under the sea coming down.
Okay. And now even the players laughing about it, saying, oh, I didn't think that that's what you were going to do. But what this does now is it saves the Tiana, because now this Tiana doesn't have to challenge in. This John Silver is still on quest, going to activate the exact same effect. So he will be able, Pierre will be able to target one of the Tianas again, and sooner or later, Tyler's going to run out of ways to keep on singing with that Tiana, and will possibly have to challenge in. But, I mean, I guess the trick of it is Tyler's already at 8. Hopefully you can just keep turning sideways and win the game that way.
Exactly, and we can see what we talk about in the TCG world is the clock, where you say, how many turns do I have to turn this around? So at this point, we have Tyler presenting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you have those ladies where some other characters come into play that can cause that to snowball, because when you have a character come to play, she quests for more.
Yes, you get 1 strength for each character that comes into play. When you pair that with the Tramp Enterprising Dog, like I was saying earlier, that Tramp Enterprising Dog allows you to add strength equal to the number of characters on the board. So when you add it to the Lady Decisive Dog, her ability that when she is 3 strength or more, she quests for 3.
Yes, you have a couple different options. You can go ahead and add that strength from the Tramp. You can go a little bit wider, because at this point, we talk about the combo, because in Pierre's deck, this doesn't look like the Detectives build that we saw in round 1. This is the more top-end control style, where there's 2 pillars of the deck. We have that Clarabelle light on our hoofs, and the Prince Philip, where we're trying to do the malicious, mean, and scary combo. But the time is running out for him to do that. So all he can do is say, I've got 1 John Silver against the world. What can I do to wipe a board with 1 Space Pirate?
And you've got 2 Tianas exerted right
exactly.
now.
Okay.
Minusing 6 strength. So Pierre's doing the math right now. I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do. This John Silver technically is going to be challenging for -1, and he doesn't even decide to quest it to give Reckless to anything. Let's see if that ends up biting him a little bit.
He says, what do you got? I'll just go play Mogi. He's like, it's a Clarabelle, it's a Clarabelle, it's a Clarabelle. And that is one of those things where Clarabelle is nice, but not what Pierre needs right now. He needs to get some kind of board control on the other side. In this case, Tyler's just going to quest with all he can.
Quest for 8, yep, up to 16 here.
Yeah, and like you said, that Tiana, the reason she can be a problem is that you guys witnessed it, is you play Tiana and you're like, okay, you read it. But then when it's time to actually deal with the aftermath, the fact that you have 2 Tianas on the board, -3 is a problem. -6 is a very big problem. So we are seeing Pierre think through all the permutations of how he can use these 2 cards in his hand. But it is going to be rough, because really the only answer is that board wipe at this point.
And I don't know if you saw what Pierre just drew. He drew into Malicious, Mean, and Scary,
Oh.
which is one part of the combo with the Prince Philip, Vanquisher of Foes. However, he doesn't have that card in his hand either. So putting 1 additional damage counter onto all the characters on board still wouldn't be able to prevent Tyler from getting up to 20. Pierre sees the writing on the wall and scoops it up.
Yeah, and this is something that it's interesting, because, I mean, like I was telling Liam, before these tournaments, we like to talk to players and be like, okay, what are you afraid of? And I mean, I think every Emerald Sapphire player I talk to says, oh, I'm afraid of the dogs. But as you saw, not everyone in this room is running this Amber Emerald dog build. The issue, though, is that some of the best dog players in the world are in the room, and I think we're looking at one right now who's an up-and-coming dog. He's not, I think, known for this deck now, but he is showing that he has some teeth, and it's rough. There's certain matchups that just aren't fun to sit down when you just like, that's the one I didn't want to play.
I have an internal pun counter of how many you threw in there. It broke the counter. Katie, you are killing it on the dog puns.
Now I'm not going to be able to do it. The
wells run dry.
Yes, we can no longer bark up that tree, but here we go. We see another interesting tool in the deck. Now, it was so funny seeing that Under the Sea, because to your point, that card is great. If you have a mirror, it's great. Maybe against even an amethyst steel, but it's generally not good. Pierre's mark is not going very wide. So it's a card that is not useful all the time. But we saw him use it to get rid of 66% of his board. He got 2 out of the 3 characters. And in a situation where he knows just getting a little bit of damage, all you need is a Malicious Fiend and Scary and somebody to sing it and or play it. He didn't want any damage. So it was a pretty smart move, protecting that Tiana and preventing him from being, or Pierre from being able to get those damage on his little guys that he needs to quest with.
Yep, I'm looking at the altar of Pierre's hand here. You do have the Prince Philip Royal Explorer, which is the 3-cost warded character. You don't have Malicious Mean and Scary. You don't have the larger Philip, the Vanquisher of Foes, that would wipe the entire board of all damaged characters. But I think that Pierre is actually kind of happy not to have the Malicious Mean and Scary in hand right now, because there's so many options for Tyler to just Ursula, Deceiver it away, or Mowgli Man Cub.
Yes, I mean, it is very, very frustrating as a player, because you have that option. You're like, do I keep the card I want because I know it'll help me win, or do I get rid of it? And then, yeah, like you said, if you have 2 options, because you can play Mowgli and then see what they have and then come back with an Ursula. You could play Mowgli twice. You could play 2 Ursulas. It's very, very frustrating if you're trying to protect cards because you know you need to draw them, but you're like, in my hand, you are not safe. I hate to tell you this.
Tyler, I'm looking at his hand. It looks like you have all the regular customers here, the Shift Lady, Miss Park Avenue, the 1-cost lady, the Daisy Duck, all of the elements that you would want for a killer opening. But it is going to be Sailor that is the one on the play.
Yes.
And we're going to ink Tipo.
Now that, whenever I see something inked, I'm like, that's because, don't worry, they have also another option. So in this case, we're going to Delta Rain, and I saw a Sail off the top, so even if he didn't have ramp, which him inking Tipo makes me believe he has it, but goes ahead, picks 1 card, puts the other one.
Sailor living up to the name.
Yes, he's like, I have to Sailor the Azurite Sea.
Double. Yes, that is why the Tipo went in. And we're going to see, because there's a couple of choices we can make here. We can play the Lady down, and notably the Tramp would be able to come out on 2. Typically, I would think you would want to use your uninkable Daisy and play that out, but yeah, we're going to stick with the Lady Decisive Dog here.
A decisive decision. And I mean, as we saw, it interfaces. The Lady and Tramp synergy is very fascinating because you're able to accomplish a lot with a little. You're able to synergize her, you mentioned with Tramp, you're able to synergize her with going wide on 2, because every time you play a character, she gets +1 strength. And as we mentioned, if she has 3, she quests for 3 lore on turn 2. And then also, Webby Vanderquack can come in. So there's lots of different ways to get her questing for 3 early, which questing.
You just mentioned a bunch of cards in the hand.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay. So you should try that, Tyler. See how it. I like it.
And I'm wondering, because we do have the Tramp Enterprising Dog usually costs 2 ink to play, but Tyler might elect to play it. When there is a Lady in play, you actually get to play it for only 1 cost. You would be able to then use his ability to give +1 to the Lady, as well as himself. You would also then be able to play the Daisy down, bring that Lady up to 3, quest for 3, and Pierre has nothing on board right now. So nothing is really threatening this Lady at all. Ooh, another Lady going to come in, though, and we're going to Daisy Duck. I got to imagine it's Tramp. Ooh, nope.
There we
Webby
go.
Vanderquack.
There she is, and that Webby Vanderquack. We saw her because she's an excellent ship target for the Flood Webby, but this Webby can come in and she can go ahead and give 1 strength. So you play that Daisy, she can go ahead and give 1 strength. So now that you got that Lady up to a total of 3 strength, which is exactly what you need to go ahead and get that 3 strength needed to get 3 lore, which is a great start when you have nothing on the other side.
She is a mystery enthusiast, so Sailor elects to play another Sail the Azurite Sea, living up to the name once more. We're going to ink the Tipo, and are we going to be able, as soon as we ink this Prince Philip, we'll be able to play the other Prince Philip here. The Royal Explorer, 3/2, warded, quest for 2, and now this is what Pierre has to do in order to kind of take back this board. If you let Tyler build out a board too wide, it's not going to be good news for Sailor.
Exactly. So he's like, what are we dealing with here? And the answer is, ooh. Now, like, he gets to pick, and it's an easy answer here.
It's the only choice.
Yeah, I realized that we didn't say what happened. We both went, because what happened is Mowgli came down. It was just so sad because we're like, don't worry, as Malicious Mean and Scary, Prince Philip, he just needs 1 more. But that Mowgli comes down and says, what do you have? You can discard one of your songs. It's up to you, non-characters. And unfortunately, when you only have 1, that's a very, very quick decision.
We could ink here if we're Tyler and play down the Tramp to give the strength to the Lady and quest for 3, and then quest everybody out. That would be a nice 6 quests all the way up to 9. Daisy Duck would have to trigger. We'd be able to see the top card of Pierre's deck. If it is a character card, he can elect to keep it or put it to the bottom of the deck. And, oh, no, okay, we just inked the Della's Moon Lullaby. Don't play out the Tramp and pass.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, you want to go ahead and kind of caution the fact that if he drew another Malicious, Mean, and Scary, he could technically sing and then shift, and that could be very frustrating. So he doesn't want to overextend his board, I imagine, because things can get out of hand. But in this case, he's still, Sailor's just building up his board to get to that punishing stage. So Tyler has to be cautious from here on out. We're in choppy waters.
Tyler rather, playing around everything, even assuming if a Malicious, Mean, and Scary comes off the top, and Pierre also happens to have that Prince Philip Vanquisher of Foes, it's going to be bad news. This is the top tier level of play that you see.
Exactly. And I mean, that Lady is upright because she can actually shift into that Lady Miss Park Avenue. Now, that is notable because it's usually cool if there's things in the discard, but Tyler is in a world where there hasn't been. So, I mean, there hasn't been any, removal or anything being banished. So everything is up and active on the board. But that being said, it's nice to keep that option available if he needs to get that extra lore later. So now we're going to see what is he able to do. We did see him get a Clarabelle Clumsy Guest off of the Daisy. So here we go with an ink decision.
And I think I saw in Pierre's hand he actually has the Under the Sea.
Interesting, which is a bold choice. That's a card that I know people have debated whether they want to keep in the deck because it's not good against a lot of things. And so I know this is probably a card he meditated a lot on if he wanted to keep it in the list or not, because it's either very useful or very not. But in this case, could be quite nice in this matchup.
And with that Clarabelle, we got, count them, 1, 4, 8 Singer on board to be able to sing Under the Sea next turn. That is if Tyler doesn't have any answer for any of the characters on Sailor's side of the board. Tyler has to be thinking, that might be something I got to worry about, and I assume that if he had the Ursula Deceiver or the Mowgli Man Cub, we would have already seen that gotten played down to try and take away the sweet, sweet victory of Under the Sea. I mean, it's not like it's an auto win or anything, but
I mean, it gets to the point where we talk about where is the game in the favor. And I mean, if you play that Under the Sea, Tyler loses all the momentum he's gained to this point. So like we mentioned, he's trying not to overextend, but it's just going to be, we talk about like when things shift and it stops being good for Tyler and starts being very good for Sailor here. And if this Under the Sea is deployed, it's just a very long journey back.
Yeah, what do you do if you're Tyler? Because you don't want to play out everything in your hand and potentially get it Under the Sea. You would be dodging the Under the Sea if you shifted the Lady, but then you don't get to use Miss Park Avenue's best feature, which is you get to recover 2 cards from the discard pile, characters that cost 2 or less, back to your hand. I mean, rock in a hard place.
It is. I mean, you just have to decide where do you want to hedge your bets on this? So we're doing the math here. We're saying, can I win? Like, if I quest out here, is there a chance that if I survive, I'm only a few lower away? He knows that there are lots of scary things at the top. This is a non-detected field. So once you get to the top, we have Hades Infernal Schemer. We have that John Silver we saw. Obviously, Under the Sea is...
We don't know if Hades might be on the table.
Yeah, right? And those cards are just punishing if you're playing 1 card at a time. Tyler has to... It's rare that somebody can combo twice, but they do that as well, because you can shift again on top of something. So if you shift to Prince Philip, you can next turn shift on top of him again. You can do lots of fun, nefarious things.
A word comes to mind, and that word is bodacious.
A bodacious shift line.
A bodacious shift line if that Prince Philip were to come down. Now, we can kind of see Pierre's hand. We know that the Under the Sea is coming. Tyler does not have that benefit, but he does decide to shift the Lady and say, okay, you got the Under the Sea, I'll at least have a Lady still.
Yeah, because, I mean, he can't ink it. He can't play it because he has such a small hand size where it's just, that's not an option. So basically, he's like, if I get this 2 lore, I get no cards, but this is the last time I can get this 2 lore. There's nothing else I can do with this card. Now, that being said, he could hold on to it, but it's just a big risk. I mean, he's just saying, like, likely this is what I need to do to survive.
And we're at 12 lore to 0 here. Round 4, this is game 2. This turn feels like the decisive turn. I feel like in any game of Disney Lorcana, there is a turn where I feel like whatever is decided here decides the game. So let's see what Pierre has up his sleeve. He's going to challenge into the Lady. but oh! Shifts the Prince Philip, Vanquisher of Foes, and sinks the Under the Sea with the Prince Philip.
Sailor is one of the nicest players I've ever met, but that was some diabolical behavior.
That line! What was that line? He sings the Under the Sea with the Prince Philip, taking out the lady, Miss Park Avenue, and everything. He says, I'm not going to let you have that, Miss Park Avenue. Get her out of here. We're taking all of it.
Very frustrating because, yeah, one card at a time is exactly where Sailor wants to be, because every time you have one card at a time, it puts you where you can do this right here.
Just like you were saying, John Silver, Alien Pirate, comes down, and now this Daisy Can't quest. Tyler knows that it's only a matter of time because the clock is ticking, and Pierre wins that game out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I mean, they say, do you have it? And in that case, Pierre had it.
He didn't just have it, he had it.
Yes, he said, I can't get rid of your your lady unless I do this. And that was very impressive. You can see, I love when you see the players kind of smile and they're like, that was kind of fun. Like, they're kind of like, you definitely beat me, but it was in a way that I found whimsical and delightful.
Yeah. Look at this body language. Look at these smiles. Tyler's even got a smirk of his own. He
like,
understands. He acknowledges. It's a great play. We got to
chat about this. Yes,
right.
I would like to talk about how I didn't like it, but nice.
That was pretty sweet, dude.
So that was an excellent use of the control aspects in Pierre Marc's deck here. So now he's looking for those key pieces. We know the ramp, which we see. Sailor has to sail. That is his Pierre's, we refer to Sailor, that is his name that he goes by on social media. And then we have Tyler here saying, I gotta go fast. I'm going first. I went first. It worked the first time. I'm going to try it a second time, keeping 3 cards and going ahead and getting 4 in his alter phase.
Absolutely. And now Tyler is going to be on the play. And I feel like that matters a lot in this matchup. Whenever you have aggro versus control, who goes first will typically dictate who wins the game. We'll see if that holds true. Sailor kind of grabbed that game from the teeth of defeat and brought it all the way back with that brilliant play he did.
Yeah, and it shows why that Ursula Deceiver and the Mowgli Man Cub is worth their weight in gold, because it's very disruptive. We use the term disruptive in TCGs, and that's basically saying, hey, you know how you had a plan? I would like you to not do that plan. And speaking of disruption, we see the Chromacon. That is another card that Tyler will use. We saw Tiana, restaurant owner, Emerald Chromacon. These are all cards where Tyler is saying, I have plans and I don't want you to do it. But we do see Mowgli. We see myriads of ladies and tramps. So the gang's all here, and we're about to get started.
1 cost, little bit of an uninkable issue here, because we do have the Emerald Chromacon. We do have another lady, Elegant Spaniel here. This is different from the other lady, Decisive Dog. This lady, when there is a tramp in play, gets +1 lore. She is a 1/2 that quests for 1 usually, but if there's a tramp, she quests for 2.
Yeah, and I mean, in this case, we are just going to keep going wide, and there we go.
Oh.
Right on cue. There is that tramp.
We are going to quest for 2. This is actually, having 2 ladies like this, I believe that Tyler actually took that tramp Enterprising Dog off the top. Just the perfect card to be able to play out 2 cards. Because once you have, it might say 2 on the tramp and you might be confused, but when there is a lady in play, obviously, lady and the tramp going to have massive synergy here. So
Yes, and that synergy allows him to take advantage of this time, because Pierre Marc's deck, we've seen, it doesn't have a lot of mid-range things going on. Really, his hope is that it can ramp. We talk about ramping once, where you're going to do your turn 2, go from 1 ink to 3, but he is a deck that wants to ramp twice, which we see the Cinderella dream come true. So that does allow him to do that double ramping where he ramps twice in a game. But will he even have time? And that's what this dog deck does, is say, I don't know if you have the time. Check the clock.
I mean, speaking of the clock, look at the board of Tyler. Now, this does not look very intimidating until you remember that both of these ladies quest for 2. So Tyler has 5 lore on board represented here, and that's why Sailor has to really think out this turn. We are on turn number 2, and this feels like the turn where if Sailor can't come up with some kind of answer to this board, because Tyler's only going to go wider next turn, the game might be over.
And that feels stressful. I think that's the thing. If you were to be a control player,
Yeah.
you have to be the most zen person in the world. You have to be somebody. It's interesting because I remember I commentated a tournament for Tyler, and he was playing another control deck, a Ruby Sapphire deck, and this was several sets ago where that was a dominant control deck. And I said, how does it feel to lose all day and still win? Because he won the tournament. And I was like, but you lost the entire day. And that's how control decks feel. You are losing until you win. And so you have to be very, very peaceful. But I think Sailor is a pretty peaceful guy. Pierre Marc is looking pretty calm. But like you said, he has to stay calm, stay the course, because, yeah, the dogs, they are swarming around him.
You can be as calm as you want, but unless you can find an edge, you are probably very stressed out. And he doesn't even have a TPO to be able to put a body on the board to start contesting. So this sail, the Azurite Sea, and this is...
He's calm. Calm and happy are two different things. I'm thinking about his blood pressure right now. But we are about to see, I mean, he has that 3 ink. We do see the Cinderella. So he's staying, he sees a path, but it's one of those very scary things. It's kind of like you're going to trip over these little tiny dogs on the way. We have 2 ladies, a tramp. We do know we have the value where if he can go a little bit wider, the wider he goes, the more he can do. That tramp street smart dog for a discount. In this case, he's able to go ahead and filter, get rid of that Emerald Chromacron, which has been very heavy in the hand, and there we go.
And now what this Mowgli Man Cub is going to do is take one of the cards. Tyler tried to select the card he wanted to take away, but Mowgli actually, your opponent decides which card gets thrown into the discard. Tyler had a little giggle over it.
He said, oh, okay. Well, that's fair. And we remember your rights here as a player. He had his rights. And that's one of the reasons that Bobby Zimmerowski is great. We talked about that Lilo Escape Artist, but it also can be a great way to say, I did not want this card. And you're able to draw and discard a card and get rid of the card you did not want. But here we go. There's that Cinderella. And like you mentioned, this card can be a turning point in the game. That being said, I mean, that board is wide, but you can get a lot of value out of her.
Yeah, and not the scariest 2 cards to come down on Tyler's side, right? If we had maybe had like Triple Daisy come down, Sailor might have said, all right, game over, good game. But yeah, we're up to 7 lore. We have another 7 on board. We could get up to 14 if we wanted here.
I just saw another Mowgli in his hand, and I'm like, oh, Pierre Marc, okay, this might be not nice because, I mean, mind you, he has lots of things that he can pick from, but Tyler's out here getting his lore, getting to 14 lore, and now he's about to deploy his characters. Now he's moving to his second row. He has moved up his first. This is the back line. And there we go.
Which do you take? Okay, Malicious, Mean, and Scary off the board. We're still going to be 1 turn away from being able to sing the Under the Sea because we can play down. What we can do is we can ink and we can play down the John Silver Alien Pirate. That would give us enough, but you gotta take everything out. And even if you challenge in with your Cinderella, Dream Come True, it'll just take 1 Mowgli, 1 anything to then take out the Cinderella and take away your singer. I think that this game is over. Katie, do you see any options, any lines, anything that we can do? There's a You're Welcome. We got a couple resources here, and you don't give up. You don't give up until it's absolutely over.
Yeah, and we say you play to your outs, which it was something I heard the first time. Play to your outs, but you just say, all right, I'm going to play this like maybe I can win. In this case, he does have something that Cinderella can go ahead and deal 2 damage. We have the John Silver, which can give Reckless. So those are 2 valuable things. But that being said, we know those ladies have that synergistic effect with the Tramp here. So there we go. He's playing here. He's doing a You're Welcome onto that Tramp, taking out that lore benefit.
Somebody else, a lesser player, might have shuffled back in one of the ladies, but the Tramp is the card that gives them the extra lore. So by choosing the Tramp, that's actually an extremely smart move. John Silver comes down, and we have an extra turn on board.
Yes, he says, you're saying there's a chance, and that's what you're playing for, is you're saying that, listen, I can't win this turn, but I'm going to make it sure so you can't win next turn. Because, like you said, that lady, we know she can shift. There's nothing in the discard, so that might make her quest for 2 there, but you just have to have it. We do see a lady, but it's not the one that we were referring to that...
Not the shift.
East Park Avenue here.
Right.
But we do see just a decisive dog, a Lilo. Just keep going wider. We're pretty sure he doesn't have that malicious, mean, and scary combo, and we will be going...
Right. We have to challenge in. And our Mowgli does not survive here, but the lady will.
Yes, and so Under the Sea is a sing together card, so it's kind of frustrating because he's like, okay, as long as I don't worry about losing the Cinderella, but there we go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we're like, maybe.
The
Oh, I love
victories.
that.
Ah, nice little hug over the table.
Yes, and that is one of my favorite things is watching players that know each other because you could tell